Proving the 24/7 news media have more control over the political process than even party leaders might. Let's talk about it with Andrea Tantaros, a columnist for the New York Daily News and co-host of The Five here on Fox News Channel. Jehmu Greene is former president of the Women's Media Center. She's also a Fox News contributor. What do you think about it, Andrea? A lot of people are saying there just simply are too many debates and we don't learn enough from those that there are.
I tend to agree. I mean, there's an upwards of 30 debates this time around, and candidates are asked not questions about foreign policy oftentimes. They're asked what music's on their iPod, and they're pitted against each other. It's all done for theatrics and drama, I think, to try and get these candidates to eat their own and shoot inside the tent. So rarely do you see the candidates actually even get to expound on their economic plans. I mean, these answers are sandwiched into 60-second sound bites, and so the viewers aren't really able to get a chance to see who these candidates are. And I would point out, having worked on campaigns before, it takes a lot of time to get your candidate ready for a debate when that time could be used to campaign on the ground and meet the voters, which is most important in these early states, as we all know.
Yeah, Jehmu, over the weekend, back-to-back debates, a couple of debates in 12 hours in New Hampshire. Is it overkill?
12 hours separating two debates was a little bit crazy, but I kind of like knowing what the candidates are listening to in their iPod. Maybe there's a balance that can be, struck here, but I do think that moving in the other direction, where you would have the RNC and the DNC step in the way that they control the Commission on Presidential Debates in the general election, I don't think that's something that the American people in this new media landscape will accept. They want to have more access. They want more questions answered. I agree with Andrea. Some of the ability for these debates to really get deep into the issues hasn't been there. So perhaps it's not less debates, but more of the Lincoln-Douglas style debates that, hey, even Gingrich was trying to get some of his opponents to participate in. But having a very controlled, structured new set of debates that only the two-party system is controlling is something that this media landscape is no longer going to allow. They want Facebook, they want Twitter questions, they want more opportunities to hear from these candidates.
There was a moment Saturday night when the candidates took a pause from going after each other, and they went after the media and I guess the Obama administration, accusing them of anti-Christian bias. Let's take a listen to what Newt Gingrich had to say on that topic.
I just want to raise, since we spent this much time on these issues, I just want to raise a point about the news media bias. You don't hear the opposite question asked. Should the Catholic Church be forced to close its adoption services in Massachusetts because it won't accept gay couples, which is exactly what the state has done? Should the Catholic Church be driven out of providing charitable services in the District of Columbia because it won't give in to secular bigotry? Should the Catholic Church find itself discriminated against by the administration on key delivery of services because of the bias and the bigotry of the administration? The bigotry question goes both ways, and there's a lot more anti-Christian bigotry today than there is concern on the other side, and none of it gets covered by the news media.
Newt Gingrich winning a lot of applause there. The question that we didn't hear was George Stephanopoulos, Andrea, asking whether the state should be allowed to ban contraception. What do you think about that whole issue?
Well, first of all, the fact that the head of the Clinton attack machine, George Stephanopoulos, is moderating a GOP debate, to me seems ridiculous. And this question about contraception, this is the new media gotcha question, right? They're bombarding Rick Santorum with this question, and I would encourage the GOP candidates not to take the debate on this one. The Supreme Court already ruled on this in Griswold versus Connecticut. They said that states can't do this. And that's what the candidates should say. But really, George Stephanopoulos asking about contraception when we still have high unemployment, it's absolutely ridiculous. And to the point about the Obama administration, they have been cutting services to the Catholic Church and been beating up on Catholics for a long time. The Catholic Church does a lot of good behind the scenes. They do a lot of good out there on the streets, and they've cut funding just because they don't agree with their beliefs. Some of these beliefs, which I would point out, the administration espouses itself, like gay marriage.
Jehmu, is it an example of media and maybe government bias against Christians?
Well, I would suspect that there are many Christians who are offended that a lot of the conversation around religion in this campaign have equated Christianity with homophobia. And having grown up in the Central Presbyterian Church in Austin, Texas, we embraced gays and lesbians. The first gay bishop of the Episcopalian Church clearly would disagree with how these messages have been put forward by not just, Gingrich, but clearly Santorum when Michelle Bachmann was still in the race, that Christians are being put forward as more homophobic than they actually are on the ground in their communities. So the war on religion, as Gingrich said, does cut two ways, but those questions are not things that you've heard in any of those debates about the other side of Christianity, where you're helping your neighbors. If you look back in December during the holidays when President Obama talked about Jesus teaching us to love God and love our neighbor as the same, I find it hard that you can call this president engaged in a war on religion.
Well,
again, those are the things that are not highlighted as much as when on Thanksgiving he didn't mention God. But you didn't hear that side of the story around Christmas.
Well, he doesn't have to. The media is doing a great job beating up on the candidates on its own. They're beating up on Michelle Bachmann's husband, trying to assume that he is homophobic. We made a point there, Jehmu.
It's a topic we're going to have to take up another day. Jehmu Greene, Andrea Tantaros, thank you both.
Thanks, John.
Oh, it's a